Welcome to the Erasmus Foundation podcast. My name is Paul Nugent. Are you looking for answers to life and its meaning? Then this may well be the very podcast you need to listen to. In a series of podcasts, we are going to look at the difficult questions of life and apply spiritual knowledge to find out the answers. Hello. Today, we're going to look at a statement which is used in the Foundation quite a lot, and that is going with the flow. With me today, I have Patrick, Julia, and Corinne, and we're going to talk about this. What does it mean, going with the flow? So, Julia, let's start with you. What would you say it means to go with the flow?
Well, to me, going with the flow is when things are going smoothly, things that you're doing, you're planning, doors open easily, and also you feel quite content and happy with life and with what you're doing. So if you think of the analogy of a river, you're swimming with the flow and it's very comfortable. So to me, that is what it means. Now, obviously, we've talked about the tapestry a little bit before. We all have a tapestry of life, and we know that life is not always smooth and plain sailing. You know, we have various tests along the way, various challenges and freedoms of choice. So we are going to come across times in our life when I feel, and it certainly happened to me, that you are actually doing the opposite. You're swimming against the flow. It's a battle. Maybe doors aren't opening smoothly for you with something you're trying to do. And it's just not a very comfortable feeling. And obviously, we're all individual. We have an individual tapestry. And so each example could be different. But it is basically telling you, I feel, that perhaps something needs to change. And so I think that is the difference. I think we're all going to experience smooth flowing and not so smooth flowing. And perhaps the key is, as we go through our life, better self-knowledge, better understanding of perhaps what we feel we would like to do, what we can do. And then perhaps we're in a better place to make changes if we feel we're in a place where we're battling and we want to get to a smoother, easier, more comfortable place.
Thank you, Julia. So, Patrick, does that resonate with you, what Julia just said?
Yes, it does, Paul. Yeah, I've been thinking about this, obviously, as we all have done, I'm sure, since you proposed this topic. And I think the word that's came back to me many times is acceptance. And what has helped me, and obviously it's an ongoing process, of course, is acceptance that there is a greater plan. Julia just touched on the tapestry there. So I would concur with that, of course, that we individually have a tapestry. The universe has a tapestry. And as I'm beginning to understand that phrase, it's something that Spirit has said to us. And it is that conclusion that I've came to, is that if we accept that whatever befalls us, and that includes challenges, things that we may not have wished for, but to have an understanding that our tapestry is unfolding before us and developing, which is part of the natural law, because I think the essence or an essence of the natural law laid down by the great mind is that life, not so much time, because as we know, Spirit don't consider time in exactly the way we do on earth, that life moves forward and change is an integral part of the natural law, and life keeps on developing. So whatever we find ourselves in, whatever situation, or when we consider ourselves or life more widely, it's a sense of that we can fight against it and resist what we don't like at first inspection, or we can accept that this is part of the great majesty of a tapestry that the great mind has gifted us, and that one day when we return home, we will understand its full depth and meaning, that all that it brought with it, all those challenges and all those tests and all those good times and all those things that brought us joy, were all there to teach us something. Okay. And in accepting that realization that whatever life brings to our door, that is meant for us, and to accept it and to go with it.
Okay. Thank you, Pat. Corinne, so this flow we're talking about, is it an easy thing to follow, would you say?
Well, for me, the flow of life is as the energy of life. So if we try, perhaps thanks for meditation, if we try to know better our inner self, if we are in tune with the natural law, then perhaps it becomes quite natural to follow the flow of life. Now, in some circumstances, it can appear difficult because, rightly, Julia has spoken of the tapestry, and Patrick has mentioned also the individual tapestry and the natural law. And something we should perhaps understand, and something that perhaps helps to understand, is that there is a great plan. There is an overall tapestry, which is the design of the great mind. And this great design, in this design, there is change. Change is a necessity because only thanks for change, there can be evolution and progress. And sometimes in life, it can be a little bit fearful when we have to face some events, and we can be a little bit afraid of change. But then, as Patrick has said, we need acceptance, we need to adapt, and perhaps we could add that we can need resilience as well. So it is certainly the reason why we come here on the earth. It is perhaps to learn how to adapt to new situations, and hopefully to search for our inner strength and to find the courage to endeavor and to do the best we can with what the great mind presents to us in this life. So, to answer your questions, in a way, it can be easy, but sometimes it can be difficult to go with the flow because we are human, and as human, we can be a little bit afraid. But really, afterwards, if we look back at a sort of event that has occurred and we have changed, we have adapted, we will see all the benefits we have gathered going through that experience. So it is always for good, and it is always for the better, I could say. Now, there is a flow of life I would like also to mention here. It is the force of life that is in nature. And personally, I really enjoy going to nature, and I like to be in tune with nature. And there is a lot of energy there. It is a flow of life. Nature has a strength, a very great strength. And as human beings, I am really believing that the great mind has made us to live in harmony with nature. And so it is a way also to go with the flow, to get close to plants, to trees. Personally, I really like trees very much. I can embrace trees. And it has been said, some scientists has noticed that it can be very good for humans, for their health, to go in nature and especially to walk in the forest. So this is another flow of life humans can get attuned with, I am believing.
Thank you very much, Corinne. That was very comprehensive. So, Julia, let's talk about tapestries, shall we? Because this is the bottom line, isn't it, really? A tapestry is what gives us the flow, is it not?
Yes, because there's a balance to life. Within every tapestry, there are ups and downs, highs and lows. There are certain challenges, certain obstacles within a tapestry. There are a number of freedoms of choice. So balance is important for our learning, I believe, and our spiritual development. This is why we've come to the earth to take a life, to be tested, as well as to enjoy the life. So it is an important part, I think, of understanding why we're here. And if we can understand and accept that we are a spirit that has chosen this life because we feel we want to learn certain things and go through certain experiences, we are going to have to be challenged. It's not going to be smooth sailing, as I said before. We are going to have some rough patches and some tests. And the nature of a test is that we are in the middle of it before we perhaps appreciate that it is a test. So I think that there are going to be times when we will be perhaps fighting a little bit. But I do agree with what Patrick and Corinne have both said. A certain acceptance spiritually is very helpful and important. And also a positivity, if we can find it, even within a test. And I think if we understand that the tapestry has been designed for us and that everything is for a reason, I think we can help ourselves to find a little bit more positivity and to look at the situation we're in. And if it is a freedom of choice, obviously these are times when we are on our own, but we have tools we can use to help us through meditation and just trying to endeavour the best we can to work our way out. Obviously, the older the spirit, the more challenging the life and the more freedoms of choice. So life can be difficult, as has been said. But I think if we have a certain acceptance and keep working on ourselves to find the reality, if you like, of who we are, why we're here, what is our purpose, this will help us, I think, to walk the path and make changes as we feel we should, and to learn from the lessons. So the tapestry is a very key part of what we believe here and the teachings. And I think if people understood a little about the tapestry, it would help them face, particularly at this time, the many changes and challenges that there are, and perhaps help them find their own inner strength and confidence to move forward.
Okay. So, Patrick, the flow through the tapestry. I think what Julia is saying, sooner or later, you will come to the end of it and you will flow through the tapestry whether you want to or not. And there will be stumbling points along the way, will there not? And difficulties, as she's already said. So what happens if you actually fight against the tapestry? Some people do, don't they? Some people get stuck in some sort of difficult place where they can't find their way out. We've all experienced that, I dare say. So how do you feel about that, Pat?
Well, funnily enough, Paul, the irony of that is that to some degree, that itself will be tapestried. To that, as I said before, the resistance, resisting the flow. When I was younger, I myself was troubled, and that's not an uncommon thing. And what coming across the foundation gave me, and listening to the teachings and learning about the tapestry, as well as many other things, was that it gave me a direction. And Julia spoke about the flow of a river, and it's our old friend getting to know yourself again. And in the process of getting to know yourself and finding out who you really are, because we can't be anybody else when we don't have an idea of who we are, we can put on masks and act out a role that isn't us. And that never really gives that person peace. And that's where the unrest will be seated. So when you do get to know yourself, or you get to know yourself better than you did, you start to understand your direction in life. And that is quite a joyful thing of what you should be doing. Because a lot of the angst that people are experiencing, and when they're doing all that resisting the flow, it's because they are in a state of confusion, because they don't know in what direction they should be going. So it's very hard to go with the flow when you don't know which direction the flow is going. So the getting to know yourself part of it is very important too, because that will allow you to drop all the facades that you thought that you might be or should be or could be, and you just come to simply be yourself. And that's where a lot of the learning, the understanding of where the flow is that you should be flowing with.
Thank you. Now, Corinne, the thing about all this is that most people on this earth believe their destiny is in their hands. Isn't that so? They believe that whatever decisions they make, they will change their life in whatever way that they feel it needs to go. Mm-hmm. But as we all know here, this is not the case. And we go through this tapestry that's designed especially for us to experience things through our life. So tell me a little bit more about in detail, perhaps, what you feel the tapestry is for you.
Perhaps, for example, a man or a woman is making plans in their life, and they are planning things, and they are expecting that things will occur the way they have planned. Now, there is the tapestry and the overall tapestry, and really there is the great mind's plan. And so the great mind plan can be different from what the person has planned in their personal life. And what man should perhaps try to understand is that man is not the ruler. It is the great mind who is the ruler, because the great mind's plan has got a structure. It is really a great design, and it goes far beyond our little personal desires, really. So we are very small compared to this really great plan. And really, yes, I can accept that perhaps when I was younger, I was looking at all this from my own point of view, from my own self, with some ego. I accept this. But now, with some distance, really what matters is the great plan designed. What matters is the great purpose of the great mind. And really, I am feeling comfortable with this, because the great mind has culled me, he has chosen me, and I have got my place in this great plan. As small as it may be, it is mine, and it is where the great mind would have me, really. So the great mind's plan is what is most important, and it is perhaps my responsibility to be as the great mind would like me to be, and to do whatever I have to do, which is tapestry for me, that will fit in this great, great, great plan. As small as it may be, it is my responsibility, it is my space, and I can only be safe because it is the plan of the great mind, and I am part of it. And I am very pleased to be just that, and to accept whatever events may happen. It is really the great mind's plan, and it can only be with purpose and reason, and for the better.
I can hear the joy in your voice, Corinne. It's lovely to hear.
You.
Now, I'm going to go off script a little bit here. So I'm going to ask whether Bettina would like to sum this up for us, if she's willing to.
Yes, I have been listening. And if I could offer perhaps a definition on this, to say that within the universe, it is ordered and controlled by the natural law. And within this, life goes along, continuous, as a pulse of life. It is a pattern. It is laid down, ordered by the great mind. And everything works according to his plan. And when man on his earth deems that all should go along by the law of man, then people sometimes find that the flow is a little difficult. and does not flow easily. And when people then find they are on the right path in life, doing what perhaps they are meant to be doing, after a freedom of choice, where they have reached a crossroads in life, and in making perhaps the right choice, they would find that everything they endeavor seems easier and without the friction or indeed any impediments which they might find in choosing the wrong path. So the natural law tells you when it feels comfortable that you should be doing something, it feels easier, there is no resistance, and you know when you are doing something in accordance with what is planned for you.
The Erasmus Foundation is a spiritual teaching and healing foundation based in Laxfield, Suffolk, in the United Kingdom. We have a webpage, www.erasmus-foundation.org. If you would like to be a guest on our podcast, or indeed have further questions for us, then please contact me on paul@erasmus-foundation.org, and we'll do our best to accommodate you. Thank you very much for listening.